Breaking news, Fox confirming tonight that the U.S. Army has appointed a two-star general to investigate how and why Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl left his base in Afghanistan. Colonel David Hunt is back with me. All right, Colonel Hunt, your reaction to this breaking news?
This is ridiculous and unbelievable.
Why?
2009, because since 2009, Sergeant, then Specialist Bergdahl, left a note, packed his bag, walked off the base, climbed under a fence, had a cell phone, called his unit and said, by the way, I'm leaving. There was an investigation at that time in writing that said Sergeant Bergdahl left of his own accord. We have to understand, if you leave the military for 1 day without approval, that's called absent without leave. If you are gone for 30 days, you are automatically classified as a deserter, and then when you come back, there has to be a court-martial and the government has a burden of proof. The difference between desertion in peacetime and war is in war you can be shot for this. But the 30-day window is as absolute. It's an administrative term that classifies a soldier. So this is ridiculous on the face of it to put a two-star general in the middle of an investigation that can be done was done by a lieutenant back in 2009. The facts are straight up and down.
So what you're saying, Colonel, is that statements that he made ahead of time, statements that he made after the phone call, all indicate his state of mind and his intent.
Yeah, it's beyond question that he left of his own accord. I'm telling you that after that, 30 days is automatic administrative classification of desertion. Why he wasn't classified up even now is a matter of political consideration, not military judicial practice or administrative practice. And this issue of two-star generals investigating something that was done 2009 is absolute crap.
All right, thank you. But back to Iraq. Now, Colonel Lindsey Graham describes this crisis in Iraq as the next 9/11 in the making. How much of a threat is ISIS and the Sunni extremists to the United States?
ISIS right now is not a threat to us. It can be, and if it keeps going, will be. As you mentioned, they got $500 million. And we have to understand that the issue of 9/11 was that there was a place for very bad guys called Al-Qaeda to train. If ISIS stays in Iraq with the support of Iran, which supports Hezbollah and Hamas, among other things, then you've got a country in which they can train and plan. Also, they're the second largest oil producer, Iraq, in the region, second only to Saudi Arabia. There's a bunch of reasons why this is a concern.
Okay, and with them having all of this oil, I mean, how is that going to affect our prices? How is it going to affect what happens in this country?
It's immediate effect. I mean, again, it's the second behind Saudi Arabia, but it's an immediate effect. You're going to have what you have now is a group that was too nasty to be in Al-Qaeda, who is in effect taking the top third, about 400 square miles of territory, in a very troubling area between Syria and Iraq, and the one winner in all this is going to come out to be Iran, who's supporting Assad in Syria, and is going to be the only way this thing gets turned around in Iraq is people on the ground. That's not going to be us. We can bomb them all day if we want, but it's going to be people on the ground, and that's Iran.
All right. You know, the president talked about, you know, convening his military people to consider what options are out there. But what options do you think should be considered?
I don't think we ought to get in the middle of this. We've spent, as you mentioned, thousands of soldiers killed, thousands wounded, and over 500,000 Iraqi civilians killed, and $1 trillion spent. Let this thing burn out, and then clean it up.
What do you say, Colonel, to those who say that maybe 4,500 Americans died in vain?
No, they didn't die in vain. They did their job miraculously well. Iraq is a tribal nation. Bombing them into the next century will not stop Sunni-Shia conflict. And the only way you can really affect this, Judge, is on the ground. Air power alone won't do this. And we cannot go back on the ground after the number of years we spent. Out of respect for the 4,800 and thousands killed, thousands wounded, we should not be in the middle of this, as we shouldn't in Syria.
All right, Colonel David Hunt, thanks so much. And coming up, Iraq on the brink. Has the president's feckless foreign policy put us all in danger? Stay with us.